It was the final day of the year, bringing period to the year 3013 since the scorching tomorrow. The dragons of the Night Kingdom were slowly waking with the rising of the moons. It was going to be a busy night for the Nightwings, with a royal ball hosted by Queen Vigilance, as well as countless other small gatherings for the remainder of the population. With a yawn, Clearsight awoke from her slumber. After completing a body awakening stretch, she pushed open her window.
Hello, my love.
She was speaking to Darkstalker, her mate, who was using his wings to hover outside of her window, his paws frozen in place in front of where the window once was.
You really take the fun out of surprising you.
That just means you have to try that much harder.
She repositioned herself to allow Darkstalker to enter her room. Once he was all settled, Clearsight leaned her body against his, laying her head on his shoulder.
And I didn't need to see the future to know you would be there.
If that's a bad thing, I could just leave.
Darkstalker began as he pretended to move away, only to be stopped by Clearsight's tail pulling on his. With a chuckle, he said,
That's what I thought. Showing up to your window every evening it is then.
Clearsight smiled and nuzzled Darkstalker's neck.
If we continue down this path, he won't have to for much longer.
The couple have been together for a little over 2 years now, and Clearsight believes she has been successful so far in putting Darkstalker on the right path. After successfully preventing Foeslayer's capture, and calmed down Queen Vigilance's fear of Darkstalker, the possible timelines she saw ending in tragedy had significantly decreased. Because of this, Clearsight was attempting to rely on her visions less and less to truly enjoy her life with her soulmate, without worrying too much about the future. She would check her notes from time to time, but only if something came up that truly made her nervous.
So, since Queen Vigilance doesn't seem to trust me as much as she should, I figure we won't be invited to the Grand Ball tonight.
She has backed off from trying to kill you, but yes, she won't trust you again until either this time next year or until one of her daughters defeats her for the throne. It's a 50-50 at this point.
So you're saying there's a chance?
Clearsight playfully nudged Darkstalker for his joke, causing him to chuckle with pride.
My parents will still be at the ball, so I don't have anything planned.
Funny you should mention that, because it just so happens that my parents are hosting a small get-together, and they are inviting you and Fathom.
Oh, well, that is certainly...
Clearsight was taken aback when she fully realised what her mate had said.
Did you say parents? As in plural?
I was wondering if you would catch on. I did indeed say parents. Apparently, my father wants to get to know you in particular better, saying something like, If she's truly going to be the mother of my grandchildren someday, I might as well get to know her.
Immediately, Clearsight became suspicious. Prince Arctic had never taken a liking to her, or Whiteout's boyfriend Thoughtful.
Why the sudden change of heart? Is Darkstalker up to something?
She was tempted to look back into her visions, but decided to give Darkstalker the benefit of the doubt.
I guess if he said that, then I should accept. While his approval of me is rarely a necessity in my visions, it would...
Don't worry about the future,
Darkstalker interrupted. He took Clearsight's paws into his own, saying,
Remember what I said when we met? Just be here, with me.
Though the fear was nagging the back of Clearsight's mind, she nodded in response.
If I keep worrying about the possible futures, I'm going to miss out on enjoying the present things. You can tell him I'll be there. I look forward to this opportunity.
Darkstalker couldn't hold back his smile as he gave her a quick embrace.
You won't be disappointed, I promise.
How can he promise unless he's done something?
Clearsight quickly shook those thoughts away and watched Darkstalker fly off into the night sky, banking towards his home. Once he was out of sight, she turned her attention to the 3 moons rising in the distance. Imperial and Oracle were at their fullest, while Perception remained a crescent.
Imperial, Oracle, Perception. Please, please let this night go the right way. I fear the consequences if it doesn't.
I can't believe we are doing this.
When the moons were near the highest point, Clearsight was escorting Fathom and Indigo towards Darkstalker's home. Prince Fathom was wearing his royal robes, despite Clearsight telling him parties outside of the palace were typically informal. Regardless, as a Sea-Wing prince, he wanted to represent his kingdom. Indigo, as per usual, wore her chestplate. Though she strongly protested, Fathom convinced Indigo to leave her spear behind, but she refused to leave without at least her dagger hidden in her chestplate.
I still say this is a bad idea. We can still return to the castle.
I know, but Darkstalker is my friend. This means a lot to him.
It means a lot to Pyria. I'm sure Darkstalker wouldn't invite us here if he wasn't completely confident in everything will go fine.
And what do your visions say?
I'm trying to go through this without relying on my visions. I need to show Darkstalker I trust him enough to let him shape his own life. I helped him avoid the worst possible futures. Now it's his turn.
I think it's foolish to go into a situation without every advantage. But I think we can make an exception. This time.
Clearsight gave a reassuring smile, both for them and herself, as they approached the door to Darkstalker's home. She lifted her paw and took a deep breath as she moved to knock on the door, only to be caught by surprise when it swung open. The 3 guests jumped in shock when they saw none other than Prince Arctic standing in the doorway.
Surprise? Did I catch you by surprise? Do not forget that my son also has the gift of foresight. He told me the exact time you 3 would arrive.
The seer was paralyzed. She had only met Prince Arctic a couple of times, but not once had she seen him in such a way. From her limited experience, and everything Darkstalker said about him, she could never have expected a greeting like this.
I don't think I've seen any futures like this.
Clearsight was struggling to find anything to say in response, but she could not muster the words.
Well, come on in. Can't keep you out in the cold. Not that it would bother me.
The Icewing Prince stepped to the side to allow the 3 to enter, but the young dragons were still too shocked to move. After Prince Arctic attempted to usher them in once more, Clearsight made the first move and stepped into the home, followed by Fathom and Indigo. Once inside, the door was closed, and the elder Icewing rushed past the trio.
Foeslayer, our guests have arrived.
A moment later, Foeslayer walked into the living room. Clearsight noticed something different about the Nightwing as well. Though it wasn't nearly as drastic as Prince Arctic, to her, Foeslayer's muzzle showed joy, but her eyes showed concern, especially when she looked at her husband.
Welcome. I'm glad you could make it. Darkstalker is washing up. He should be down shortly.
Go ahead and make yourself comfortable. The food will be ready shortly.
The prince rushed back into the kitchen, and after Foeslayer did her best to give a reassuring smile to Clearsight, she followed him. The 3 dragons were left standing in the living room, still in disbelief of what happened. It was Indigo that finally broke the silence.
I may not have properly met Darkstalker's family before, but from what he said, that is nowhere close to how his father acts.
I've never seen him act like this. Not once have I heard him say anything nice. This is far from normal for him.
Good. Glad it's not just me that noticed it then.
His eyes are being forced to watch his fire.
Clearsight jumped when she heard a familiar voice speak up. She turned to the fireplace and saw Darkstalker's little sister, Whiteout, on the floor drawing something.
Oh, hello, Whiteout. I didn't see you there.
Because of my super awesome sneaking skills.
Definitely. What do you mean by his eyes are being forced to watch his fire?
Exactly what I said.
With a sigh, Clearsight gave up trying to understand what Whiteout was saying. Though she has known her for several years now, and both being seers, she still could not understand the odd dragon's prophecies, no matter how hard she tried. Even Darkstalker admitted to her he has trouble, but they both play along to keep Whiteout happy. That was something Clearsight always loved in Darkstalker, and gave her confidence he was always on the right path.
What's that?
The 3 dragons followed her gaze, and saw Blob, the enchanted wooden octopus, poking his head out from behind Indigo's chestplate. Indigo lifted him with her paw, so Whiteout could see him more clearly.
This is Blob.
The octopus examined the new Nightwing for a moment, before leaping off Indigo's paw and landing in Whiteout's. She looked over him curiously, lifting one of his tentacles to examine him.
What is he?
He was a present I made for Indigo a long time ago. He is a piece of wood I enchanted to look like an octopus.
Octopus. Oh, that makes sense with the 8 legs.
I still think you're an idiot for making him, no matter how much I love him.
I'm fine, Indigo. Our blob was worth the risk.
Indigo couldn't hide her smile as she rolled her eyes. She walked forward and extended her paw for Blob, when Whiteout said,
He'll be good.
Good for what?
Entertaining the triplet you're carrying. Of course.
Indigo's normal colour instantly transformed into a bright red as she swiftly grabbed Blob and quickly retreated backwards. She stood next to Fathom, who appeared to be frozen in place, staring blankly at the wall. Clearsight watched amusingly, waiting to see who would be the first to speak.
Most of my visions didn't have their children arriving for at least another 2 years. But most of those were Darkstalker went down the wrong path. I'm guessing that this is a sign that we're truly on the best possible path.
The first to speak was Fathom, saying,
Indigo? Did she?
Indigo nodded in response, her face still a bright red.
And she's a seer dragon, so that means?
Did I say something wrong? Why is she transforming into a Skywing?
It took every ounce of self-control Clearsight had to contain her emotions. She wanted to laugh at how red Indigo was, but she also wanted to cheer loudly for her 2 friends. Maintaining her composure as best she could, she said,
Well, I guess I'll let you 2 talk this over.
Clearsight quickly excused herself and made her way up the stairs, bumping into Darkstalker at the top.
Oh, you made it! Is everything okay?
Yeah, your sister just told a pretty big secret by accident.
Secret? What secret?
Apparently, Indigo is...
Oh, thank the moons! I've been dying to talk about that.
You knew?
Of course! I had the vision a couple weeks ago. It was one I could feel was going to happen. I also noticed she was acting different this past week.
A wave of realization washed over Clearsight as she thought over this last week.
She was acting strange the other day. I took her to the market and she stopped to look at the stand with the little dragonette toys. I should have known.
Do you think Fathom...
Oh, by the 3 moons, he most definitely knows.
Darkstalker jumped giddily. making Clearsight giggle at her mate's goofiness.
I've been waiting for this! It means that we are much closer!
Closer to what, exactly?
To our own children, of course! Shadowhunter, Eclipse, and...
Fierce Claws?
With a cocky grin, Darkstalker asked,
Does this mean you concede on that name?
Perhaps. On one condition.
Anything. You name it and it's yours. If you want to hold one of the moons, I'll enchant a rope and bring it down and shrink it. Whatever you want, my love. It's yours.
This is it. Another crossroad. The last of them. I hope.
Clearsight looked deeply into her mate's eyes and bluntly asked,
What did you do to your father?
What do you mean? I've done nothing to him.
While he answered her question, Darkstalker maintained eye contact and looked legitimately confused.
I've seen plenty of futures where he lies to me. Not once did he give any visual cues.
She was not going to give up that easily. Clearsight knew something was off, and she wanted the truth.
My love, I've spent little time with your father, but I know enough to say that he is most certainly under a spell right now. Please be honest with me.
What are you two lovebirds doing up here?
Clearsight jumped in surprise, hearing Prince Arctic speak close behind her.
How long was he there? I'm starting to regret not using my visions for tonight. Oh, we were just talking.
Yes, Father. Just about some school stuff.
Clearsight took a quick glance at him, and she couldn't believe what she was seeing. She had only seen Darkstalker look at his father in disdain before tonight. Now, he looked somewhat happy. She didn't know what to think of this.
Did I wake up in a timeline where Arctic truly was a good father to him?
Well, don't take too much longer. I have the walrus almost ready to go. Your mother is cooking slabs of it for the Nightwing's present. Myself and the Sea-Wings can enjoy it raw. Oh, I almost forgot. Did you get that letter sent, son?
Did he just call him son?
I did. Grandmother Diamond should be reading it now.
Grandmother Diamond. Queen Diamond?
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Prince Arctic returned down the stairs, leaving Clearsight alone with Darkstalker again. When he turned to look at her again, he was met with a glare from Clearsight.
What?
There is no way you can convince me you didn't enchant him after that. Not once in any timeline where I have seen him this nice, let alone call you son. And what was this about a letter to Queen Diamond?
The letter is just something he wrote and asked me to use my scroll to send it to his mother instantly. I'm not entirely sure what it says, but I'm sure it's something to do with the holiday. As for how he's acting, maybe he finally realized how horrible he was as a father and husband and wants to make things right. Now, let's go eat. I've been curious how this walrus will taste.
Darkstalker followed his father down the stairs, leaving Clearsight alone to her thoughts.
This cannot be good. It just cannot be good. I've never seen one of these futures, but anytime Darkstalker used his powers on another dragon, it always ends the same. Bloodshed.
A couple hours had passed by the time the party finished their hearty meal. During the feast, Prince Arctic enthusiastically told stories of New Year's parties he attended in his childhood. Clearsight sat next to Darkstalker, taking note of each time he asked questions or laughed at parts of the story. She also made a mental note on Foeslayer's false cheerfulness. Clearsight's instincts told her she knew what was going on and was generally trying to enjoy the moment. But her eyes still couldn't hide the concern.
I have to talk to her in private. She can confirm my suspicions.
Clearsight had to find a way to separate Foeslayer from the party without raising suspicions. Unfortunately, the Sea Wings present were not going to be much assistance, as Fathom was still in shock and Indigo couldn't take her eyes off her plate. Whiteout sat on the other end of the table next to Foeslayer, heavily entranced with her father's stories.
Clearsight, could I get your help in the kitchen? I have a surprise I need help with.
There's no way she is secretly a mind reader. Is there? Oh, yes, absolutely,
She replied as she walked towards the kitchen.
A surprise? You shouldn't have, dear.
I think you'll like it. Darkstalker, you stay out of my head and don't ruin the surprise.
Oh, come on. Just 1 second.
Foeslayer rolled her eyes and entered the kitchen with Clearsight, allowing Prince Arctic to continue with his stories. Once the two Nightwings were out of earshot, Foeslayer spoke quietly to Clearsight.
I know what you're thinking, and you're right.
Although Clearsight was relieved to learn her suspicions were correct, her heart also sank, knowing all too well what this means.
So Darkstalker did enchant your husband.
With a nod, Foeslayer replied,
It started this morning when Darkstalker promised me this was going to be the best New Year's we've had as a family. He wouldn't tell me why, so I kept a close eye on him as he readied himself for bed. When he finally retired to his room, I managed to glance in and see him writing something on that scroll of his. I couldn't see what it was, but it wasn't difficult to realize it had something to do with his father. When I made my way to bed, Arctic was clearly different. He has hated sleeping during the day since the day he fled the Ice Kingdom, and would constantly remind me of that fact. This morning, though, he was happy. Like, actually happy. And extra cuddly.
It's definitely too much of a coincidence he wrote something on his scroll immediately before the sudden change. I take it Darkstalker had the scroll locked up by the time he came to my place?
Of course. And he avoided me most of the time we were preparing for your arrival, all the while uncharacteristically bonding with his father.
Has Whiteout said anything?
Not that I know of, but Arctic is closer to her than he is with Darkstalker.
So what can we do?
Foeslayer moved to one of the cabinets and pulled out a small box.
This is going to be up to you to fix. I know that as soon as you two come of age this year, Darkstalker fully intends on moving into your own home. You will be the one he sees every night when he wakes up. You will be the mother of his dragonets. You are going to be the one keeping him on the right path. Marriage is not easy, take it from an expert. But it can be held together if it is built on trust.
I trust him. At least, I would like to think I do.
Clearsight sighed heavily as she grabbed the cake knife and server for Foeslayer, already well aware what was in the box.
With my powers, it has been difficult for me to truly trust him, because I have seen what he can do, and I can feel my emotions in all of my visions. I felt love and joy, yes, but I've also felt pain and betrayal. It always feels like any of these moments could be a fork in the road.
Tears fell down Clearsight's cheeks, the vast number of emotions taking over.
I just want to be happy, Foeslayer. I want to grow old with Darkstalker and watch our dragonets start their own families in more than just my visions. I don't want to worry about saying the right thing or preparing the meal that won't lead to the end of the world.
Foeslayer approached Clearsight and softly embraced her, comforting the young dragoness as she let her emotions flow.
I understand, Clearsight. But there's nothing I can do to help remedy this situation. Only you and Darkstalker can. Isn't that right, my son?
Clearsight felt her heart sink to her stomach.
How long has he been listening?
Long enough, my love.
After clearing her eyes, Clearsight separated from Foeslayer whom grabbed the box and knife set.
There will be strawberry cake at the table when you two are done.
With a soft look at her son, Foeslayer returned to the party, leaving Clearsight alone with Darkstalker. Several minutes passed in silence, with Clearsight staring at the floor, unsuccessfully attempting to compose herself before this crucial discussion.
Clearsight.
Why, Darkstalker? Why are you constantly lying to me? Why do you make these decisions behind my back? Why do you continuously break your promise to me? Why can't I trust you?
I'm not...
No, don't you dare say you are not lying to me. I know what you did to your father. I know you enchanted him. I know you will say it is for the good of your family. But taking someone's free will away can never lead to a good outcome. Believe me, I constantly see the results.
I don't see how fixing my father's attitude could be a bad thing. You've seen how he treats me and my mom. He needed to be fixed.
And there's the problem. You don't see why. What you are doing is wrong. You think you can fix everything with a little bit of magic, but it is not your responsibility, Darkstalker.
I don't want...
Tell me why you can't.
I wanted to hear him say he loves me.
To Clearsight's disbelief, Darkstalker's eyes were welling up. It appeared he was on the verge of crying, something she had never seen before. He was always so confident and proud, sometimes annoyingly so. It threw her off seeing him so vulnerable. As he spoke again, the tears began to slide down his cheeks.
Not once in my life have I ever heard him say he loves me. I've grown up seeing you and most other Nightwing I know with two parents that truly care for their children. And no matter how much I try to hide it, I could never get rid of this emptiness inside. He's never physically harmed me or my sister, but his visible annoyance of my existence hurts me far worse. I just wanted one night where we could be happy.
Clearsight listened to her partner's vent intently. Although seeing how much Darkstalker was truly hurting saddened her, she couldn't help but feel a slight relief that he was finally opening to her. She knew the overconfidence was merely a facade, but she played along with it, believing it to be the best course of action.
Why doesn't he love me? What have I done to deserve his loathing?
Nothing, my love.
Clearsight replied, pulling him into a tight embrace.
You have done nothing wrong.
She held him tightly as he let his emotions go, sobbing on her shoulder. Clearsight had every intention of talking to him on the ramifications of his actions, but not yet.
He needs this more than he ever will admit.
The two held their embrace for what felt like hours, before Darkstalker managed to regain some composure. Clearsight looked into his eyes, gently placing a paw on his cheek. He sighed softly, his head resting in her hold.
I am sorry, my love.
There is nothing to be sorry for, Darkstalker. You needed this. You've been bottling up your emotions for so long. They were bound to overwhelm you. I am the one who should be sorry for not helping you through this instead of worrying over countless possible futures.
Then let's both be sorry and forgive each other.
Clearsight couldn't hold back a chuckle.
Still the same dragon I love.
The young couple pressed their foreheads together, silently sharing their love for each other. Once they separated, she again looked up at him.
You do understand why I got upset with you, right?
Darkstalker softly nodded and said,
I do. And if it's any consolation, the spell wears off at sunrise. My father will be back to normal by the end of the night. I really only wanted it this one time.
That's good. But you must understand that your magic is dangerous. This proves your scroll is powerful enough to completely control a dragon. If you go down a dark path, or if someone else learns of this, there are a few limits to this destruction it may cause.
I understand, and I swear to you it will never happen again. Once the party is over, you can write an irreversible spell to prevent my magic from affecting other dragons.
I like that idea. Then once that spell on your father is lifted, you can try to talk to him about how you feel. Maybe it will be enough to fix your relationships.
Clearsight could see the discomfort in his eyes at her idea, but he still softly nodded.
Perhaps I would like to think he can change. Most likely not as drastic as how he is tonight. But if I can get through to him just a little, he might actually invite us over to the next New Year's feast.
And maybe he could become a better grandfather.
Darkstalker couldn't hide his smile at the thought of their future dragonettes.
Is that still in our future?
Clearsight returned the smile and nodded.
Would you like to hear a little prophecy about them?
Darkstalker's smile, to her surprise, widened.
I would never say no to hearing about our future children.
Very well. In the year 3013, a new generation will be seen. 3 will be of the sea, their parents filled with glee. And then the 3 of the night, born under the moonlight. 1 will hunt the shadows, just as her father shows. The 2nd will shine like an eclipse. Her mother will love her quips. And the 3rd has the fiercest of claws, giving her enemies pause.
As Clearsight told him the prophecy, Darkstalker's smile continued to widen. He once again embraced her tightly, which she returned.
Thank you, my love. I really needed to hear that.
Of course. I love you, Darkstalker. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. As long as we are together, I know it will be the best one yet.
Clearsight looked up at her mate with a soft smile.
I have no doubt about that, my Darkstalker.
The moons were still high in the sky when Clearsight returned to reality.
Another vision? How in the 3 moons do I take us to that future?
She had seen countless possible futures, with a variety of possible outcomes, but this vision was new to her. Had she not left her vision scrolls at home, Clearsight would have been frantically trying to piece together the best course of action to arrive at this future, one where she knew Darkstalker told her the truth. It would have to wait, however, because the beginning moment of all those futures was happening now. Clearsight scanned the crowd of Nightwings one more time for any sign of Darkstalker.
Hey, watch where you're walking.
Can't you use those weird eyes of yours?
Or are Icewings blind as well as arrogant and vicious?
The commotion drew Clearsight's attention, and sure enough emerged the dragon her destiny was intertwined with.
That was a little rude, don't you think?
Darkstalker said to the 3 Nightwings. With a deep breath, Clearsight said,
This is where it all begins.